context of the Drinking Water Directive, I will always use substances. Under the substances, I see the distinction between datasets and dossiers. Datasets are the editable files. Dossiers are the files logged for addition. I want to create dataset for my notification of intention, so I start by clicking on the datasets. Then I click on New Substance, and I provide the name. And I click on Create. In this example, this is the name of the individual metallic composition, which is subject to the notification of intention. This name must reflect how the notified entry, in this case, a metallic composition that would be shown if included in the European positive list. So I created this substance, and now I open the dataset. The name given by me and my legal entity obtained from the setting of my IUCLID account are already displayed. And the first thing I need to do here is to select the working context in which I would like to work. So I click on a small arrow, working context. I select new working context. I open the list of all available working contexts, and I scroll down to find the EU Drinking Water Directive. And I select Drinking Water Directive Notification of Intention. I apply. And now on the left side, when I have the table of contents, I can see all the sections in which I will be filling the information for notification of intention. The first document in the list is dossier header. Dossier header contains a set of fields used to store administrative information that is relevant to the submission of data under a particular regulation. In this case, Drinking Water Directive Notification of Intention. The fields present here are determined by the selection of this very working context. I immediately see that some fields are marked as mandatory. Those are application type, material type, anticipated application submission date. And those fields are essential to determine this notification. So I fill the data. I start by dossier name. In the name, I indicated that this is a notification of intention for the alloy, and I included the intended period of submission as a reminder to myself and my colleagues. Then dossier submission remark is a free text field. Note that the Drinking Water Directive notification of intention process is fully automated, so ECHA will not actively consider any information provided in this field before the data are published. The contents of this field will be visible in the published dossier. This field is optional and can be left empty if there is no need of any remark related to the submission, and I left it empty. Then I have application type. I have choice of 3 options here, and I select new starting substance, composition, or constituents which does not exist in the EUPL. Material type, in my case, is metallic materials. And then anticipated application submission date is for me let's say February 2027. This day cannot be earlier than 31st December 2026. This is very important. The submission is an update. I leave this empty because this is initial submission, so not relevant in my case. And then again, we have remarks field. Is a free text field which allows me to provide any remark I wish to make on any of the dossier specific information provided above. And I will use this field to point that the application will be submitted on behalf of several interested economic operators. So I will write here So I put the remark, the intended application will be submitted on behalf of a consortium of free manufacturers of the alloy. After filling all needed fields, I save. Dossier header can be edited at any time. Also, when I will have all data inserted and I would like to log the current version of a dataset for addition, so to create non-editable dossier. I can freely jump between all the sections and complete data whenever I want. Also, I can create more than one dossier if I need to correct something in a dataset. The important thing here is that at the end, I have to have only one final dossier for the submission. I move now to the section 1.1 identification. Notified entry is already here. I inserted in this when I created a dataset. And the next step, I need to assign the reference substance. This reference substance will identify my notified entry. So I click on the field and I open the list of available reference substance. So I created earlier several reference substances for different metals, but I don't have a reference substance for my alloy. So I click create. I fill the reference name and the UPAC name. And the reference substance name and the UPAC name are identical to the notified entry name that I inserted at the beginning, and they always should be identical. In this example, there is no EC number or CAS number to be provided. Additionally, as this is a new alloy that is not listed in the European positive list, we don't have yet EUPL number for this. If it happens that I have a notified entry that already have EUPL number, I could provide this EUPL number here in the list of synonyms, but it is not relevant to my case. Additionally, in the molecular and structural formula, structural information, I can provide more information, and I will add here molecular formula. Further detail may sometimes help stakeholders better identify the notified entry. Therefore, even though information on molecular weights, miles, or chemical structures are optional, the user might consider whether their inclusion and subsequent publication would be helpful. I save information, and I see that now my reference substance is linked. At the end, I specify the type of the notified entry. I can see that in the list there is no option metallic composition, so I select other and I write metallic composition. This phrase will be added to the pick list in April 2026 IUCLID release. And I save. It's important to always remember to save your data. Then I move to the section 1.2 composition, and I add the new records by clicking on the plus sign, add the new document. Since this is a new metallic composition which belongs to a new metallic composition category, I must create two composition documents in this section, one for the alloy itself and another for the new composition category. The first composition is for the alloy, so I create the document I create is for the alloy, and I first edit its name to be more meaningful. I copy this name and I paste it also here. Then I indicate type of composition. In the majority of cases, the appropriate choice is a legal entity composition of the substance, and only one chemical composition must be provided. Yet for our example, as this is very specific as previously said, it has been set up to reflect a new alloy that belongs to a new metallic composition category, the copper, zinc, arsenic, bismuth alloys category. So I select here legal entity composition of the substance. I also select a state form as solid bulk, but before I will select it, I would like to mention that if I would select solid nanoform, I will have a special field at the end, characterization of nanoforms. But in my case, it will be solid bulk. Then a very important moment of filling in the composition, I need to add all the constituents. And I do it by clicking each time on plus new item sign, and I create a row, and for each constituent I add reference substance. I the same way as I was doing reference substance. To save the time, I created already relevant reference substance, so I start to put the constituents first. Copper, I need to put concentration range. Marks. And last, bismuth. I can also say, if I have a lot of reference substances, I can search for the substance, putting its name or part of the name here in the search field, and then I easily find my substance if the list is long. And finally, I have all the constituents. And before I add impurities, I would like to mention a few points here. As you can see, I put more precise values in the remarks field. This is because Euclid does not allow the zero to be shown after a decimal point if the zero is not followed by another number. Therefore, if for Cooper it is important for the notifier to show decimal part, so for example 69.0, the concentration range which shows the decimals must be added in the remark column. For the zinc, zinc often appears as the reminder of an alloy composition. Euclid requires that the concentration range is added in the remarks column as the reminder. So, and then for arsenic and bismuth, some text with additional remarks have been added. These are optional and have been added for the demonstration, but it's not considered mandatory. For a new metallic composition, as you can see, I need to declare impurities. I create new rows in the same way as for the constituents, and I'm adding reference substances and concentration range at the same as I did for constituents. So my first impurity is iron, and concentration range between 0 and 0.3. Then manganese. And the last one. And at the end, I save. So I have now all the constituents and all the impurities listed in my composition. Now, as I mentioned, I will create a similar document, but for the new category of metallic composition. And as you saw, it took me some time to type, to link all the reference substance, to link concentration range and remarks. So to avoid retyping all the chemical names, I copy the first document and then I will edit. So I go to the three dots menu in top right corner. I select copy data from. I select my dataset. I select this first created composition and I click on copy. Now I can see that in the table of contents, the copy of this record appeared. So I open it and first I change the name. So the name will be composition of. And this time I indicate the type of composition as a boundary composition of the substance to indicate that this is related to the new alloy category, not the alloy itself. State form remain the same, solid bulk. And then I go to the constituents and instead of typing everything from scratch, I just edit the values. So for bismuth, and I remove the remarks. And I remove the remarks. For zinc. It remains as a reminder. And for copper, constituents are ready, and now I go to the impurities. Under impurities, I need to change only one value for the concentration range. For antimony, it will be 0.1. And I save. My composition is ready. The next section is called identifier. And this section might be maybe completed after adding a new document, as I showed here. This section must be used when a user is preparing an update to a Drinking Water Directive notification of intention that has already been successfully submitted to ECHA. In such case, a user must provide the Drinking Water Directive notification of intention number. I will show you where to find this number. So this is Drinking Water Directive notification of intention number. This is the number issued by the ECHA's Industry and Authority portals upon the successful initial submission, and the format of this number is DWD dash and then 10 numbers. Other additional identifiers in this section may be included on a user's initiative if such inclusion is considered useful in helping interested economic operators to properly identify the notified entry. In my example, as the dataset is for the initial submission and not an update, and we don't have interest in supplying any other identifiers, no documents is needed in this section. So I will remove this document. I leave this identifier section empty for my initial submission, and I can move to the last section to be filled in intended use of the notified entry. I create a new document, and before I fill in the section 2, I would like to explain some general rules on how to fill this section for different materials. So for starting substances for organic materials and cementitious constituents, if the intended use apply to more than one material category or more than one technical function, the corresponding number of intended use documents must be created. So here in this section, there will be more than one document. And then for metallic, enamel, ceramic, and other inorganic compositions, only one intended use document is required. My notification of intention is for metallic composition, therefore only one document is created, and I select here metallic materials. I will also edit the name of the document to make it more meaningful. I selected already metallic materials type. I would like to draw your attention to the fact that selection of this material type determines which fields are displayed later on. So if I would have, for example, organic material, I will see that I need to fill organic material category and technical function of the starting substance in the material. For the cementitious materials, I will have technical function of the organic constituents in the cementitious material, and also another fields for enamel, ceramic, and inorganic material category. So I keep metallic materials, and metallic material category is a new category. And in the remark field, I add the name of this new metallic category, which is copper, zinc, arsenic, bismuth, alloys. And then a product group of metallic material, in this case will be BD, 10% exposed surface. The scope of these product groups is explained in Commission Decision 2024-365 and in ECHA's Drinking Water Directive Guidance Document Volume 1. I save, always after filling any documents, and at this point all my data I provided and can be validated.
The main purpose of Validation Assistant is to verify that the data in your submission dossier is complete against the regulation requirements. Validation Assistant, it will ensure that the data is available and harmonized. It will assist industry users during dossier preparation. And of course, it's going to validate submitted dossiers at ECHA's site. Note that we will be running the same checks as submissions, so please use Validation Assistant to see potential issues before you submit your dossiers to ECHA. The Validation Assistant is going to be available for both notification of intention and application submission types. When you are going to validate your data, you will see a report which will indicate all the issues with your dataset displayed under submission and quality check tabs. You will need to pay special attention to the submission tab, as these failures will also be running at the submission site. The report is going to indicate the location of the issue and, of course, a message that's going to provide the small instructions on how to fix the issue. You are also going to see the type of the check and the rule ID. The rule ID is very helpful for us in case you report any questions or you have any issues that you would want to report further on the Validation Assistant. We keep developing validation checks in each IUCLID release. You can access the list with all of these available rules on IUCLID pages in the data validation section. And this list, of course, is going to be updated with every release. I will present to you today some checks in the dossier header and in section 1.1 identification. So first, let's go to the dossier header and modify the anticipated application submission date to be set for today's date. We are going to save, and then we are going to move to section 1.1, and we are going to leave the type of notified entry field empty. We are going to save again, and then you can validate the data that you enter at any moment to check the quality. We are going to click on the validate button. And in the validation report, let's see if we have any issues. As you can see, we have two business rules failing, number 9 and number 95. These can be fixed straight in the report here on this page, or you can always go back to the dataset and modify your information. I propose to fix it for today in the report directly. So let's go to our first error. As you can see here in the error message, it is specified that the application date should not be earlier than 31st of December 2026. So let's modify this date. We are going to put a date in the future. Don't forget, always after you modify something, to save the data. And now let's move to the second error that we have, which states that we shouldn't have the type of notified entry empty. So here we are going to select other. And of course, we will need to complete the free text field. And here we are going to indicate metallic composition. We are going to save. And now you can always revalidate the data through the revalidate button. And let's check if all our issues have been fixed. As you can see, there are no other errors at this point. It is really important to validate and revalidate every time that you modify some data, and of course, before the dossier is going to be submitted.
After all the corrections are done, I can create a dossier. So log the data for edition. In the top right corner, I click on the purple button Create Dossier. I see once again all the information I inserted in the dossier header. I can click on the Create Dossier if I want to use the default setting, or I can select Advanced Settings if I want to change anything. For this demo, I decided to include legal entity, so I went to Advanced Settings, I can include legal entity, and I click again on Create Dossier. I get the message that the dossier was completed successfully. I can open it. I can see that the padlock indicates that this is now locked for the addition, but I can open the same table of contents and I can see that all my documents I created are here. During the creation of the dossier, some data are added automatically. For example, dossier creation date and time. In the dossier header, you can also see now the empty fields that have been previously hidden in the dataset to help the user to provide only necessary data. I can, if I wish, I also can validate again the data to see if the dossier is complete.
So as you can see from this slide, according to the Drinking Water Directive, there is some information from the dossier that will not be made publicly available once the dossier is published. And this information includes, for example, the identification of the applicant, such as the name and contact details in case representative is designated, and also information concerning the manufacturing process, such as the concentration range of the constituents and everything regarding impurities. So now I will guide you through a short demo. Before we focus on how the confidential version of the dossier looks like, I will first show you how the information that I just mentioned looks like inside the dossier. As you can see, we are in a notification of intention dossier in IUCLID. By starting in the dossier header, we have a legal entity for which now there is information available, such as the legal entity name, type, and some contact details. And then if we move to section 1.2, which is the composition, I will select one endpoint. We have some information for the constituents, such as reference substance and concentration range and remarks that were filled in before, as well as for the impurities of a new metallic composition, for which we also have reference substance and concentration range. So in IUCLID, the process through which the confidential information is removed is called filtering, and filtering is achieved within IUCLID thanks to a filtering engine, which is an IT tool that contains confidentiality rules that interpret the confidentiality requirements of the legal text and that determine how the dossier will look like once it is published. So what information will be available and what information will be removed. An interesting part is that these requirements can be simulated by users, by anyone who is creating the dossiers, by clicking on the dissemination preview option, which is a plugin existing in IUCLID that you can get from here by clicking on the three dots and then on the dissemination preview option. And after that, on the second option, which is create a report and filter dossier. So this will generate both a filtering report and then a filter dossier. We can check the filter dossier first by opening it from here. So if we see and we look at the previous information that I was showing before, we see already that the legal entity is not available anymore. And this is because the legal entity is one of those confidential fields according to the directive, which therefore are not displayed in the final dossier in IUCLID. And if we go again and check section 1.2, as I was mentioning before, the concentration range of the constituents are also considered confidential information, and therefore they are removed from the dossier, as well as everything related to the impurities of a new metallic composition. So we don't have any more information for reference substance or concentration range. Now we can look at the same information, but from a different perspective, let's say, by opening the filtering report. So the filtering report is an Excel file generated by IUCLID, which contains different columns, among which for us are particularly important column H, which contains the list of all the paths that are available in IUCLID that were filled in the dossier, and column E, which contains the publishability outcome for each one of the different fields. So if we want to look at the same information but in a different way, we can check it through the dossier. This is particularly important for other dossiers where, for example, the information is there is much more information inside, so filtering and applying in Excel the different functionalities. It can be another way of looking at the data. And if we would like to check quickly a single path, we could go back to IUCLID and take, for example, from the field identifier a part of the identifier and look for it here. And we would see that for the impurities, we have the non-publishability outcomes for all the impurities that were recorded before.
The last action I need to do is to export the IF6Z file that will be submitted. So now it is in IUCLID. I will open my dossier, my dossier containing all the data, not the filtered one. So I open it. I click again the three dots menu and I select export to IF6Z file. export to local file. And now depends on the setting of your browsers. The file will go to the downloads folder or in the folder you selected. So this is the file that contains UUID of the dossier and I6Z. So this is the file you will submit in the next part of the process.